we will introduce a speaker who will speak about a topic that many of you can relate to. We will introduce Geoffrey Kang, our own design captain, who will speak about his experiences as an international student.
So this story starts when I was in second grade. I was an eager second grader who was excited to attend a tutoring summer camp and experience the American culture. And by American culture, what I thought was going to Disneyland with Mrs. Park. And that was all. Like that. And the next time I came to the United States was when I was in 6th grade. I led 3 5th graders to the same tutoring summer camp I went during my 2nd grade year. At this time, being a 6th grader, I was able to engage in more conversations with Americans and build more personal relationships like this one. Having experienced for those 2 months in the United States the beautiful lights at the Las Vegas Strip and the beautiful environment that exists like the Antelope Canyon, I realized that I had much more that I can explore and need to experience around the world. So I confidently called my mom and told her I'm going to live in the United States. And one thing you should know about my mom is that she values moral values and health more than anything. She, of course, values academics, but not as much as others do that I found out later on. So we were a little bit hesitant of me coming to the United States because we already paid our tuition for my boarding school. But my parents wanted to support me and my dreams, and they allowed me. And despite that we only got 50% of that tuition back, I was able to come to the United States. So I began my life in the United States as a middle schooler in 7th grade at Mrs. Park's house. So what I have imagined when I decided I was going to live here was that it's going to be exciting as what I have experienced during summer school. However, it wasn't. It was studying, studying, and studying all the time. For I am not a person who can sit on one spot for more than 30 minutes. I did not like that lifestyle of studying all the time. However, Mrs. Park and I came to a compromise. She said that I can participate in the show choir at my middle school and pursue my passion in singing. So, and also, middle school wasn't that hard. I could maintain a straight A's with being in the arts. And I expected high school is gonna be same, or at least similar, right? Right? No, it was not the same. Every day was miserable. It was a hard time for me. For instance, before my 9th grade year, during my 9th grade registration, I asked Mrs. Park if I can join the honors choir at Orange Lutheran High School. And look, it's honors. But my guardian, Mrs. Park, told me no. She told me that high school was going to be way different. And she told me that you need to focus on your academics. So every day was going to school, coming back from school, studying, going to academies, studying again, having dinner, studying and sleeping, and occasionally crying. Life was hard enough. Back in middle school, I would always call my mom every week during the weekends, and our phone calls would last more than 3 hours. My mom and I have like a best friend relationship. But during my high school year, even though we were physically very apart from each other, emotionally we grew very closer to each other. I could not open up to anybody in high school about my problems at home. So where I opened up to was my mom. I called her every night, telling her my problems, and she would always advise me, and her solutions were always the best. She would always tell me, be polite and respectful to Mrs. Park, because after all, you are a guest at her house. But I am a boy that can't live without expressing his opinions. So my mom understood that, and towards the end, she told me, you can express your opinions, but do not be rude. So I started expressing my opinions. However, it did not go as we expected. A lot of disputes happened, and one day, some harmful words were exchanged that soured our relationship. And that was when my mom and I decided that we need to find a replacement. We need to move out of this house. However, some other problems emerged soon. That summer, in Korea, my grandma, who was perfectly healthy, fell sick. And in the span of a month, she was about to pass away. And during that time, I realized I should not cause my mom any more problems, and I should stay strong. And that was a time where I became a genuine believer in God. Because before, I would believe in God because my parents told me to. Because my whole family is Catholic. That's the only reason I believed in God. But at this time, it seemed like God was always next to me, protecting me, and guiding me to the best ways of my life. And my faith grew. And that was what drove me through those hard times. A month later, my grandmother passed, and she gave me her very last gift. My uncle and aunt, not having grandmother, were in deep sorrow, and they needed something that would take up their energy so they wouldn't have enough energy even to feel sad, because before they were the ones who were closest to my grandmother. So my uncle found a possible person who can find a replacement for my guardian. She was my mom's brother's wife's sister's best friend's son's college consultant. Let's just call her JP. I had a meeting with her, and she told me she can find a replacement within 3 months. She would try her best. And during the meeting, it seemed like we see eye to eye on a lot of the issues. And I was happy with that meeting, and I told my mom I think that she is the right person to stay close to. So my mom and I decided that it's about time to tell Mrs. Park that we are planning on moving out. And we needed to say it in the politest way possible. So we told her, since Geoffrey and Mrs. Park were having a lot of disagreements, and having disagreements make her uncomfortable at her own house. And we do not want that for her. So we told her we are planning to move out. However, we did not get the response we expected. She told me, literally, to move out the very next day, at 11 p.m. that day. She wasn't being mean, but she just told me to move out the very next day. So I called this person called JP and explained the whole story. And she said she would drive right down to my house the very next day and pick up all my stuff. And I can stay at her house until she finds a replacement. And I was very thankful. So the next day she came, and I guess the second impression she got of me is something that my mom always used to teach me. She always used to tell me that you always need to end your relationship in the best way possible. So when I got out of Mrs. Park's house, I gave her the biggest hug I can give her and tell her thank you for raising me for the last 3 years. And when I wrote the card, JP was like, did you just hug that lady? And she thought I was kind of weird. But later on, she understood. And I guess I can say I ended my relationship in the best way possible. But again, I needed to go to Mrs. Park's academy because I already paid for some of the classes. So, still, we did not have a problem figured out. Where am I going to live for the next few years until I graduate high school? But fortunately, at that time, JP's son, TB, told her mother that since his brother moved to college, he was kind of feeling lonely and he wanted a new brother. And fortunately for me, I was able to live at JP's house with TB. And I'm greatly thankful for both of them. Right now, I'm living the best life I can live. I am very happy with my life. And I'm a junior. That's kind of hard to do. So right now, I'm working hard for my community, for my family, and myself. Thank you.